Okay, gaya ng sabi ko kanina, yung topic natin is about ethics, fraud, and internal control. Okay, so our next slide is about ethical issues in business. So first, we have business ethics. Business ethics encompasses the principles and standards that guide behavior in business world. Okay, ano ba itong business ethics, guys, no? Imagine nyo na lang, no, kapag naglalaro kayo ng game with your friends, for instance lang, no? So, sa laro na yan, no, di ba, there are rules that everyone agrees to follow. So, ano mo yung rules na yan? Yung rules na yan, no, it makes sure that everyone plays fair during the game and also that everyone, no, will treat each other with respect. 'Di ba? Kapag naglalaro tayo, even sa mga friendship game, 'di ba? There should be rules, no? Rules to follow. So, ganun din doon sa business ethics, 'di ba? Mayroon ding rules or may mga policies din na sinusunod, no, sa business ethics. So, ngayon, in the world of business nowadays, no, there are also rules, no? Pero yung rules na yan, hindi yan siya parang laro-laro lang, no? Kasi yung business ethics natin, it's about the principles and standards that guide, no, how people behave in the business organization, no? How they behave in the organization, no? So this business ethics, it's like a set of guidelines that tell us what is right. It tells us what is wrong, no? When we are doing business. Always remember, when we talk about ethics, di ba? Especially business ethics, it tells us, it tells us, no? About what is right and wrong when we are doing business. So, gaya ng sabi ko kanina, in business ethics, meron tayo ditong mga principles and standard. So, what are these principles and standard? So, these principles and standards, no, it can be seen in different companies, no, especially yung mga company policies, practices, and guidelines. Especially, it can be seen in the company's code of conduct, if you are familiar with it. Or kung sa publicly listed companies pa, ano ba yung mga publicly listed companies? Yun yung mga corporation that goes into public, no? Yung binibenta nila yung mga shares of stocks nila publicly. So, meron tayong tinatawag sa publicly listed companies na Code of Corporate Governance issued by the SEC. So, this Code of Conduct and the Code of Corporate Governance, these two, no, guide the board of directors, the top management like the CEO, the CFO, and also it guides the managers and employees to do the right thing inside their organization. Not only inside the organization, it guides the individuals inside the organization kung paano sila mag-act also outside the organization. It guides them on how to conduct their business ethically, especially on how they interact with their stakeholders. 'Di ba? Ano ba yung mga stakeholders? It may be mga inside ng mga stakeholders and outside stakeholders like yung mga creditors natin, customers, the general public, and many more. Well, this business ethics, no, it covers a lot of things, guys. For example, no, doon sa business ethics na yan within the organization, they might say that it's not okay to lie, it's not okay to cheat, it is not okay to steal in business. So, naka-indicate yan sa kanilang mga policies and guidelines. Pwede rin sabihin na doon sa guidelines nila or doon sa mga vision statements nila, mission statement nila, for instance, ilalagay dyan na Dun sa code of conduct nila, ilalagay dyan na they should treat their customers, their co-employees, their partner with honesty, fairness, and respect. So, depende na yan sa isang organization kung ano yung ilalagay nila dyan. Pero, syempre, meron tayong sinusunod na mga standard na guide, no? Na internationally known. Kunyari, yung SEC Code of Corporate Governance, it is patterned sa international standard. So, ganun din minsan sa mga code of conduct ng mga companies, nakapattern yan siya kung ano yung issued by the different organizations, no, na well known, especially sa mga first world countries na i-adapt ng Philippines, and then at the same time i-adapt din ng mga companies within the Philippines. Okay, so yun yung business ethics natin. Kasi yung business ethics natin, it is really important, no, because it helps to build trust and confidence in different businesses. Kasi kapag alam ng tao na yung company follows ethical principles in doing business, so they are more likely na gusto nilang mag-engage sa business ng company na yan. 'Di ba? Especially yung mga investors natin, yung mga customers natin. Plus, itong business ethics natin, it helps create a positive reputation for the company. So, anong mangyayari kapag may positive reputation yung company? It can lead to more success in the long run. So, overall, this business ethics is all about doing the right thing in business world. So, tandaan din natin, no, when we are talking about business ethics, so, kailangang mag-make ng mga ethical decisions dito. So, yung mga business organizations natin, may mga responsibilities yan sila sa kanilang mga employees, sa kanilang shareholders, sa customers, sa public. Sa every major decision na gagawin nila, may mga consequences yan na pwedeng maka-harm or maka-benefit sa organization, no? For example na lang, since we are talking about computer system dito, no, sa ethics, fraud, and internal control, kasi usually magpo-focus tayo in a computer environment dito. So, for example, sa pag-implement ng new computer information system within an organization, so ano yung ethical decision or ethical dilemma na kakaharapin ng top management dito? 'Di ba? Kapag mag-implement ng new computer information system within the organization. So, pwede dito, ang mangyayari dito, it can cause na yung mga ibang empleyado natin, no, they might lose their job. Syempre kasi 'di ba kapag naka-streamline na yung trabaho with the help of technology, there's a tendency na yung ibang may function pwedeng na nagtatrabaho currently dyan sa posisyon na kung saan na streamline na yung technology with the help of computer system, no, mawawalan ng trabaho yung certain employee na yan. Pero, syempre, ang mangyayari dyan, yung iba naman na mga remain within the organization, pwede silang maka-benefit sa improvement na yan, no, sa pag-implement ng new computer information system within the workplace. Kasi may improve yung working condition. So, as a manager, for instance, as a top level manager, 'di ba? You should make ethical decisions. So, dapat mag-seek ka ng balance between sa mga consequences na yan. So, yan yung manager's ethical responsibility. Kasi yung business ethics natin, no, yung mga ethical principles under the business ethics, it provides some guidance, no, in the discharge of the responsibility of our managers. Okay, naintindihan? Ano pong example natin dito sa business ethics? So, dito, tignan natin dito sa slide. Diba, sabi dito, one example is the ethical dilemma faced by the pharmaceutical companies regarding drug pricing. They must balance the need for profit with ensuring access to life-saving medication for patient. Okay, so yan yung another example natin. Then pwede rin, no, regarding environmental responsibility. Many companies, no, they face ethical dilemmas related to environmental responsibility. For instance na lang, kunyari may manufacturing company tayo. They might decide, no, between cheaper but environmentally harmful production methods, or kailangan nilang pumili ng more expensive pero eco-friendly practices. So as a manager, dapat i-balance mo yung profitability with environmental sustainability. Siyempre, it requires careful consideration, no, sa long-term impact nung pipiliin mong choice, long-term impact nito sa environment and the society as a whole. Pwede rin sa labor practices naman. May mga ethical issues tayo, 'di ba? Sa labor practices. Anong mga ethical issues that can arise in labor practices? For instance, we have yung mga fair wages, yung working conditions natin, yung labor rights natin. So, pwedeng ganyan yung mga issues na mag-arise sa labor practices. Kunyari, meron tayong isang company, meron tayong garment industry, di ba? So, yung garment industry na yan, usually, yung mga, kunyari, yung mga, sa mga patahian, sa mga gumagawa ng mga tela, ganyan. Usually, may nagpa-face yan sila ng mga ethical issues regarding labor practices kasi usually sila yung may mga labor exploitation sa kanilang factories. Bakit labor exploitation? Sabi ko. Kasi yung mga workers dyan, they endure long hours of work. And then at the same time, usually yung mga factories, mabababa yung sweldo. And meron silang mga unsafe working conditions. So, kapag papipiliin tayo as a manager, 'di ba, dapat i-uphold natin yung ethical labor practices na involved dapat dito yung pag-ensure natin ng fair treatment, ng safety ng ating empleyado throughout the supply chain ng ating factory. So, hindi pwede na i-continue natin yung mga ganyang practices. Diba? Kasi it is unethical practices yung pag-exploit ng mga tauhan natin sa isang factory. Lalong-lalo na noon, no, nung hindi pa uso yung mga ethical standards within an organization, hindi pa rampant yung mga guidelines, yung code of conduct, yung code of corporate governance. Usually sa mga factory, nag-hire pa yan sila ng mga minor. Pero 'di ba ngayon may mga batas na nagbabawal na magpatrabaho sa mga minor. So, yun lang kagandahan ngayon kasi nga may mga nagrarally para makita yung problema ng ating society. Pero kung walang nagrally before, 'di ba, sa ibang bansa, kahit dito sa Pilipinas, walang mga NGOs na gustong ipakita yung katotohanan na nangyayari sa mga workplace. So, hindi natin yan mai-enjoy nowadays, yung mga batas na yan, yung mga code of conduct na yan, 'di ba? So, maganda rin. Maganda rin, no, kasi mas napapaigting yung business ethics, no, kung yung paggawa ng tama within our organization nowadays. Okay, so naintindihan yung business ethics. Okay, so now let's proceed to computer ethics. Okay, the definition of computer ethics. Computer ethics addresses the moral and ethical implication of technology use. So always remember, this computer ethics, guys, it is a branch of ethics that deals with the moral and ethical implications of technology. Particularly, no, diba, since it is a branch of ethics, it focus on computers and digital systems. Itong computer ethics natin. So, nowadays, syempre, this digital age na tayo. 'Di ba? Since digital age na ngayon, yung technology natin, it plays a central role sa ating life. So, bakit central role siya? Kasi parang hindi na tayo nabubuhay without technology. Diba? Without computer. Diba? From communication to entertainment to our work, 'di ba? Sa ating pag-aaral, we use computer. We use technology. 'Di ba? Kahit smartphones natin, hindi tayo mabubuhay without technology. Kahit ngayon, mag-aral ka, kapag wala sigurong Google, walang internet, paano na lang yung mga assignment ninyo? So, nung panahon namin, no, pupunta pa kami sa library to read books. Pero ngayon, parang wala ka nang makikita masyadong estudyante na nagbabasa ng libro sa library kasi lahat naman ngayon, pwede na tayong gumamit ng computer to research. Diba? So, marami talagang magandang naidudulot yung computer. So, even though, no, kaya maraming benefits and opportunities, yung use ng technology, yung use ng computer natin for advancement, pero meron pa rin mga question, no, regarding sa bad benefit ng computer. Kasi may mga complex ethical questions tayo dito regarding computer ethics, may mga dilemmas tayo dito regarding computer na kailangan nating sagutin, no, later on. Kasi yung computer ethics natin, 'di ba? It is a field of study na nag-focus sa moral and ethical issues na related sa paggamit ng computer and technology. So, since we are talking about computer ethics, it deals with questions and dilemmas concerning how technology is developed, no? It deals with questions and dilemmas concerning how this technology is used, no? How it is developed and used. And sa pag-develop and paggamit nitong computer na ito, ano ba yung impact nito sa individual, sa society? Anong impact nito sa environment? Okay, so may mga question kasi sa paggamit ng computer nowadays, even though na marami siyang benefit na naibibigay sa atin, no, sa daily life natin. Okay, so gaya ng sabi ko kanina, balikan natin yung computer ethics natin. It's about figuring out what is right and wrong when it comes to using the computer and technology. So, itong computer ethics natin, it's like having a set of rules or guidelines, no, for how we should behave online, on how we use technology, no, and how this technology should be used in our daily life, no, on how this computer should be used in workplace. Kung paano ba natin ito magagamit ng fairly, no? Paano natin magagamit ng safe? Kung paano natin ito gagamitin in a respectful way na hindi tayo makakaapekto sa iba, no? Ang computer ethics natin, it covers things like privacy, security, yung pag-share natin ng information, and also, syempre, on how we become responsible in using mga digital tools natin sa computer. It's all about making sure that we use this technology, no, in a way that it will benefit everyone and it won't harm anyone, no, when we are using this computer. So later on, isa-isahin natin yung mga issues regarding computer ethics, no? Tulad niya yung mga privacy natin, yung mga about security. So later on, isa-isahin yan natin. Okay, ngayon naman, we have this letter C sa slide, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act and ethical issues. So the Sarbanes-Oxley Act was introduced to improve transparency and accountability in corporate governance. This Sarbanes-Oxley Act, guys, no, Hindi to siya sa Philippine na law actually. This is a US law passed in 2002 that at improving the corporate governance and financial reporting standards in the US. Particularly, no, ginawa itong law in response sa accounting scandals ni Enron. Unang-una, yung kay Enron. And then at the same time, meron din naging sikat na accounting scandal before yung WorldCom. Kasi parang nagkasunod-sunod yan sila, guys, na nagkaroon sila ng accounting scandal in the US. So, gaya ng sabi ko, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, it directly applies in US companies and their operations. Pero even though sa US siya apply itong law na ito, nagkaroon ito ng influence na naramdaman globally, including syempre yung Philippines, dito sa Pilipinas, no? Ano ba yung effect nitong Sarbanes-Oxley Act? Kasi through the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, may increased scrutiny on corporate governments. Kasi yung sa pagpapatupad nitong Sarbanes-Oxley Act natin, na-increase yung attention on corporate governance practices worldwide. So, yung companies in the Philippines, especially yung mga may international operations, no, or nagsisik sila ng investment from US market, so naramdaman nila yung pressure to adopt similar standards, no, na nakalagay dyan sa Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Ano yung mga standards na nakalagay dyan regarding corporate governance? Kunyari, yung about transparency, accountability, and ethics sa business operations. Kasi yan yung mga na-emphasize din kasi doon sa Sarbanes-Oxley Act, naka-emphasize yung corporate governance ng mga practices. And then may impact din ito sa Filipino companies, no, listed in US stock exchanges. Kasi yung mga Filipino companies listed on US stock exchanges, syempre, required sila to comply with the provisions of this Sarbanes-Oxley Act. No, particularly those related sa financial reporting nila, sa internal controls, and also yung audit requirements since, diba, listed sila sa US stock exchanges. So, yung mga Filipino companies na yan, Philippine companies na yan, diba, ma-implement nila yung changes to their corporate governance practices and yung financial reporting system in able to meet the Sarbanes-Oxley Act standard. And then, na-emphasize kasi nung Sarbanes-Oxley Act standard natin yung internal control and financial reporting kasi 'di ba mas pinaghigpit yung requirements for internal control over financial reporting syempre para ma-prevent yung fraud and also ma-ensure yung accuracy sa financial statement. So yung mga Philippine companies, no, even those not directly subject to Sarbanes-Oxley Act regulations, no, they may have adopted similar internal control measures to enhance yung transparency and trustworthiness in their financial reporting practices. And at the same time, no, may impact ito siya sa auditing and accounting practices. Kasi yung mga requirements sa mga auditing firm, no, mas pinahigpit through this law sa US. So, kunyari sa Filipino accounting firms, no, na may mga US clients or affiliations sa US, no, they need to adopt their auditing practices to comply in this Sarbanes-Oxley Act requirements. So, kung makikita natin, no, not only in the US applicable itong Sarbanes-Oxley Act, so meron siyang global influence on regulatory reforms. Kasi yung sa pagpapatupad nitong Sarbanes-Oxley Act, no, naka-influence siya sa reforms ng corporate governance standards in many countries around the world, especially dito sa Philippines. Kahit yung Code of Corporate Governance natin, it is adopted, no, based doon sa mga napatupad na corporate governance na practices sa ibang bansa, especially sa US, no. Even though na wala naman siya masabi na direct impact na masasabi natin, pero may impact talaga siya. It may vary from one company to another. Kasi yung mga principles and best practices na promoted by this Sarbanes-Oxley Act, no, nakakontribute yan siya sa broader discussion on corporate accountability and transparency within our country, no, within the business community within the Philippines, no, kasi may domino effect yan siya on corporate governance practices and yung mga reforms, regulatory reforms worldwide, itong Sarbanes-Oxley Act natin. No? Kaganda, no? Kasi may domino effect siya. Nagkaroon lang ng issue doon sa US, nagpatupad sila ng Sarbanes-Oxley Act, and then gumawa sila ng batas na yan. So, parang nakita rin kasi worldwide na maganda pala itong batas na ito. Maganda siyang i-adapt even though sa mga countries na hindi naman apektado doon sa fraudulent transaction na ginawa ni Enron at ni WorldCom. 'Di ba? Kasi si Philippines, may mga companies, yung mga companies dito sa Philippines, ina-adapt na rin yung some of the best practices under this Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Kasi yung mga companies operating in the Philippines, especially those with the international ties, syempre, mapipilitan yan sila to adopt with these best practices. Pero even though wala silang international ties, amat-amat na naa-adopt yung mga best practices na yan in corporate governance, in financial reporting, and auditing, in internal controls, syempre, in response doon sa principles na pinakita dyan sa Sarbanes-Oxley Act. So, yung example natin dito sa slide, di ba, nabanggit ko kanina, kaya nagkaroon yung Sarbanes-Oxley Act natin kasi dito sa case ni Enron, 'di ba? Ano bang nangyari dito sa Enron, guys? Yung mga executives kasi ni Enron, they engage in fraudulent accounting practices. Anong ginawa nila? Anong mga fraudulent accounting practices yan? They inflate yung company profits. Siyempre, kapag na-inflate yung company profits, binataasan nila yung profitability ng company, siyempre, anong mangyayari? Tinatago nila yung totoong nangyayari sa loob ng kumpanya. Siyempre, naging blind yung mga investors nila. Pero in the long run, nalugi yung company because of these fraudulent accounting practices. No? So, another example natin kanina na nabanggit ko, di ba? Meron din tayong WorldCom. No? Yung si WorldCom kasi, yung mga executives niya rin, they engage in accounting fraud. Anong ginawa niya? In-inflate nila yung revenues nila. And then, kinonceal nila din yung mga financial losses. So, same din sila ni Enron ng ginawa. So, itong si Sarbanes-Oxley Act natin, ginawa ito in response sa mga scandals na nangyari sa US like kay Enron at kay WorldCom and many more pa, guys, actually. So, through the Sarbanes-Oxley Act na enhance yung corporate accountability, transparency, and also yung investor protection. Kasi kahirap, 'di ba, sa part ng investor. Kasi syempre kung ikaw yung investor, paano mo ba malalaman yung mga information regarding the company, 'di ba? Through the audited financial statement, even though the other stakeholders rely on the audited financial statement. Pero kapag pineke yung financial statement and kakuntsaba niya yung auditor, ano mangyayari? Magiging blind yung ating mga investor and other stakeholders. So, at the end of the day, kawawa sila. Diba? Kasi, ang mangyayari niyan, kung patuloy yung mga corruption or mga unethical practices within the organization, diba? Ang mangyayari, malulugi talaga yung company. So, maganda rin na meron itong Sarbanes-Oxley Act, nasagot yung mga ethical issues na nangyari before. And unti-unting naaayos na ngayon and na-strengthen yung mga policies and guidelines regarding unethical practices sa mga financial reporting, diba, sa corporate governance, and many more. Okay, so naintindihan yung ethical issues in business, na tackle na natin yung business ethics, computer ethics, and then yung Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Okay, so next slide na tayo. Okay, ito na yung computer ethics natin. So, di ba kanina sabi ko, we will discuss yung mga issues sa computer ethics natin. So, marami ito siya, guys. So, isa-isahin natin. So, first, we have privacy. Privacy in computer ethics concern the right of individuals to control their personal information and how it's used. It involves issues such as data collection, surveillance, and consent. Violations of privacy can occur through unauthorized access to personal data, data breaches, or intrusive surveillance practices. So, ano ba yung example natin dito? So, meron tayong example dito, no, na si Cambridge Analytica scandal, no? It involved yung unauthorized access of millions of Facebook users' data for political profiling purposes without their consent. So, dito pa lang, no, merong tayong breach, no, merong breach raised, no, in significant concern about privacy infringement, no, and the misuse of personal information for targeted advertising and manipulation. Kasi sa simpleng information kasi natin, like yung ating mga pangalan dyan, mga address, mga cellphone number, pwede yang gagamitin yung mga information na yan, guys, no? Magagamit yan siya. So, yung gaya ng sabi ko kanina regarding privacy issue, yung Cambridge Analytica standard, ginamit yung profiling, yung profile ng mga Facebook users, no, for political campaign. So, naranasan nyo ba yan during election last time? As in, ang daming nag-text. Paano nakuha ng mga politiko yung mga number? Pero yun yung sabi nila, paano nakuha? Kasi hindi pala maganda. Ewan ko kung true ha, pero yun yung haka-haka. Dahil kasi hindi daw maganda kasi yung security nung ano ba, QR code natin. Di ba may QR code tayo dati during pandemic? So doon nakuha yung mga data, di ba? Nag-encode tayo ng mga information natin doon sa QR code na yon para sa pandemic, tapos nakuha doon yung mga cellphone number. No? Even though sa GCash din, minsan may mga privacy breach din regarding information. So, ang nakakainis dyan, no, nagagamit yung mga account natin, kunyari sa GCash, sa mga fraudulent transaction. Minsan naloloko pa, nakukuha yung pera. So, kawawa tayo. Okay. So, second, we have security. It's about accuracy and confidentiality. Security in computer ethics focuses on ensuring the integrity, accuracy, and confidentiality of data. It involves protecting computer systems and networks from unauthorized access, manipulation, or disruption. Breaches of security can result in data loss, identity theft, or financial fraud. Okay. So, yan yung security, yung accuracy and confidentiality. So, kasi dito, usually, dito sa security, no, paano? Konektado din yan sila ni privacy, guys. Kasi, paano naman makukuha, no? Makukuha yung information mo, no? Syempre, mag-uumpisa yan sa mga fill upan natin, gina-click natin ng mga link, no? Dapat hindi tayo basta-basta, no, na mag-click ng mga link, magbibigay ng ating information. So, yun, no, yun yung isang problema, no, regarding computer, no, na hindi natin nasisigurado na may strong security, no, yung ating ginagamit na computer, ginagamit na cellphone, no, gina-fill upan natin ng mga data sa internet, no. So, pwede yan manakaw kung walang strong security. Imagine na lang, guys, no, kunyari, kung may online banking account kayo, or kahit sabihin na lang GCash, diba? Where you manage your finances. Diba? Naglagay ka dyan ng pera. Diba? Nagtatransfer ka ng mga money through GCash. Nagbabayad ka ng bills. So, dapat siguraduhin ni GCash na yung security measures nila are in place, no, to ensure the accuracy and confidentiality of our financial data, no? So, paano yan nila mai-ensure? Dapat may user authentication, 'di ba? To access the GCash, 'di ba? Dapat required to provide security login credentials. Kunyari, yung username and password, pero sa kasamaang palad, even though may username and password, may biometric, pero na-breach pa rin yung security ni GCash, 'di ba? kasaklap pa din. So, dapat magawan pa nila yan ng paraan. Kasi, even though may authentication process sila, maganda yung minsan sa PayMaya, no? Yung si PayMaya, lahat ng transaction nila, and ewan ko kung until now, kasi matagal na ako hindi nakagamit, no? Pero before, nung gumagamit ako, lahat ng transaction nila, it requires yung text message, no? Yung code, bago mag-go yung transaction. So, sana ganun din si GCash kasi minsan si GCash hindi sila nag-require ng code pero minsan meron din. So ewan ko kung anong criteria nila to require the login code, no? Or yung mga number, ano ba yan? Yung mga text message na code bago mag-go through yung transaction. Kasi yung mga authentication process na yan, no, 'di ba? Ini-ensure na yan na hindi lang yung authorized individual lang yung maka-access ng account nila para ma-maintain yung confidentiality. Okay? So minsan meron ding mga ano ba yan, mga measures to strengthen the security measures like mga encryption, 'di ba? Pwede rin yung mga encryption na yan kasi nakaka-help ito sa pag-protect ng mga confidentiality ng mga sensitive financial data information na nag-travel sa internet, no, ng mga data natin. Kasi when we log in, kunyari sa mga online banking account, no, to conduct transactions data, yung mga encryption technique kasi, 'di ba? Ginagamit 'yan na para ma-scramble yung information natin. Yung mga encryption technique na 'yan, it makes our data unreadable to unauthorized parties. So, yun yung kagandahan ng encryption ng data natin kapag meron, no? Sana si GCash ganun din. I don't know kung meron si GCash, no? Tapos, kunyari, kapag may transactions tayo, no, dapat ba secure yung transactions kasi kung mag-initiate tayo ng transaction through online, kunyari, pag-transfer ng funds or pag-pay natin ng bills nila, mga online banking system natin, dapat mayroong secure protocols, no, para ma-ensure natin yung accuracy and integrity ng transaction details natin, no? Kunyari, pwede yung may mga digital signatures, no? May mga transaction verification na mechanism yung ginagamitan natin, kunyari like GCash, no? Para ma-prevent yung unauthorized modifications or tampering ng transaction natin, no? Online. So, pwede rin na may mga firewalls, no? Or detection system dapat para may strengthen yung security system. Okay, next is we have ownership of property. Ownership of property in computer ethics pertains to intellectual property rights, including software, digital content, and creative works. It involves respecting copyright laws, licensing agreements, and the rights of content creators and developers. So, ano bang example nitong ownership of property natin? No? Kasi minsan sa internet, 'di ba? Meron tayong tinatawag na software piracy. Doon sa software piracy kasi, yung mga individuals or organizations, no, they illegally copy and distribute the copyrighted software, 'di ba? So through that, 'di ba, nababiolate yung intellectual property rights ng mga software developers natin. So nangyari ba 'yan sa inyo nung gumagamit kayo ng mga torrent, 'di ba? Para ma-copy or magamit mo yung Microsoft Word, magamit mo yung Microsoft Word, mga Windows, 'di ba? Yung mga software piracy yan siya, no, na hindi ka bumibili ng license na mga software. Kasi dapat copyrighted kasi yan, guys, no, yung mga software na yan. Kung hindi ka bumibili sa kanila, so syempre engage ka sa software piracy, 'di ba? Hindi mo binayaran ng tama yung gumawa niyan. So actually, that's one of the computer ethics na actually ako at the same time no guilty din ako kasi syempre mahal yung mga subscription. So anong ginagawa natin? Mag-engage tayo sa ganyan, no? Na bumibili tayo ng mga unlicensed software. Pero bad yan, guys, ha. Kung may pera kayo, bumili talaga ng licensed software. Okay, next is equity and access, no? Equity in access refers to ensuring equal opportunities for individuals to access and benefit from technology and digital resources. It involves addressing disparities in access to technology based on factors such as income, geography, or demographics. So ano bang example natin dito sa equity in access, no? Usually kasi dito, kunyari, imagine nyo na lang sa mga far-flung areas, no? Yung mga schools sa mga bukid, and then compared sa school sa patag, 'di ba? Lalo sa mga cities, no? Yung mga schools sa cities, syempre may mga access yan sila sa state of the art na mga computer labs, may high-speed internet, and then personalization ng digital learning resources. Pero yung mga students sa mga bukid, ng mga malalayong area na wala masyadong ano yan, wala masyadong technology doon sa lugar nila, 'di ba? Mga at the same time low income yung mga parents, kaya low income din yung communities, they lack access, no, to these technological resources compared doon sa mga bata na nandoon sa city. Syempre, makikita diyan yung hindi fair, no? Hindi fair yung access ng technology. Kaya nakakapag-create ito siya ng inequitable learning environment, no, between doon sa mga bata sa malalayo at sa mga bata dito sa city, no? Kasi yung mga students, 'di ba, from low income communities for instance, 'di ba, may mga disadvantaged backgrounds sila. Siyempre through their backgrounds, no, nakaka-affect yan siya, no? Kaka-affect din yan sa kanilang learnings kasi syempre kung wala silang pera pambili ng computer, pambili ng cellphone, pang-load. Compared dito sa patag, usually yung mga parents, 'di ba, may trabaho. Or kung wala mang trabaho, may mga free services offered sa kanila like free wifi for all, no? So, yun yung ethical issues dito, no, na bakit hindi ma-provide sa far-flung areas yung mga napoprovide dito sa city, sa mga bata dito sa city. So, dapat ma-address yan siya ng government, no, yung regarding sa access ng mga bata, no, regardless of the area, regardless of the status, no, dapat fair treatment dapat, no, na makaka-access sila sa computer technology. Okay, next we have environmental issues. Environmental issues in computer ethics concern the ecological impact of technology production, consumption, and disposal. It involves minimizing environmental harm, promoting sustainable practices, and addressing the environmental footprint of computer technologies. So, dito, no, yung issue dito, yung example natin dito, kunyari yung production and disposal of electronic waste, di ba? It contribute to environmental pollution and resource depletion in the long run, guys. So, kapag may improper disposal tayo ng electronic devices, di ba? Yung mga electronic devices yan, it may contain hazardous materials. Siyempre, kung hazardous materials yan, it can communicate, ano yan? It can contaminate rather, no, yung soil and water resources natin. Siyempre kapag makontaminate yung soil and water resources, 'di ba? It can pose a risk, no, to human health and also the environment as a whole. So anong dapat gawin dito? Dapat may mga sustainable practices tayo such as recycling, 'di ba? Yung responsible e-waste management, that are essential in mitigating yung environmental impact of computing technology. So, dapat hindi kayo basta-basta magtapon ng mga gadgets niyo, no? Pero yun lang, wala naman tayong proper waste disposal, no, regarding sa mga gadgets, mga computer, sa mga kung ano-ano pang mga technology na meron tayo sa bahay. Basta lang itapon na lang sa basurahan, yung iba sinusunog. Hindi natin alam kung ano yung magiging effect niyan. Baka yung technology na tinapon natin biglang sumabog, so anong mangyayari? So, a lot of people will be affected. Okay lang kung ikaw lang yung magiging apektado, pero kung nakakreate ng sunog in a community, so that's a very big problem, di ba? Next is we have artificial intelligence, no? Artificial intelligence in computer ethics raises ethical questions about autonomy, bias, transparency, and accountability. It involves ensuring responsible development and deployment of AI systems while considering their societal impact and ethical implications. So, for instance, artificial intelligence, no, mayroon tayong facial recognition technology. So, it raises concern about privacy, no? It raises concern about surveillance and also yung mga potential biases niyan. Kasi anong mangyayari dyan sa facial recognition system? Kasi may tendency na may maka-misidentify siya ng tao. So, pwede din yan, no? Or hindi niya ma-read yung face mo. So, may mga tendency na ganyan. Or pwedeng gamitin yung facial recognition technology na yan, facial recognition system natin, sa mass surveillance, no? Without, kapag yung system na ginagamit natin, wala siyang adequate safeguard, no? Kasi pwede yan siyang ma-hack, for instance, di ba? Kasi yun yung mga ethical implications ng mga AI power technologies nowadays, na kasi kailangan meron siyang safeguards na ma-make sure natin na ma-protect yung ating privacy. So na-try nyo, kahit yung kunyari mga CCTV, 'di ba? Kunyari ma-hack yung mga CCTV. Pag ma-hack yung CCTV, meron pa yung mga issue na naririnig daw yung boses, may nagsasalita, yun pala hack na. So palayo lang, no, kapag kita mag-CCTV tanin di matabo ng amo sina sa aton. Okay, next is unemployment displacement. Unemployment and displacement in computer ethics concern the impact of automation and technological advancements on employment opportunities and economic ability. It involves addressing the socio-economic consequences of job displacement, reskilling, and promoting equitable access to technology and education. Kasi anong mangyayari dito sa issue dito sa computer ethics nito? Kasi yung automation in the industries, no, such as yung manufacturing, transportation, syempre it can lead to job displacement kasi mawawalan sila ng trabaho kasi na-replace na sila ng technology, no? So, masaklap lang, no, kasi syempre dahil automated na lahat, halos lahat ngayon, nababawasan na yung trabaho para sa mga individual in a certain community, lalo-lalo yung mga may mga factories, no. So dapat dito yung ethical challenges dito is yung pagbalance ng technological progress, no, with the societal impacts on employment within our community. So dapat masagot yan na problema. Okay, and then lastly, we have the misuse of computers. So misuse of computers involve unethical or unauthorized use of computer systems, software, or data for malicious purposes. So it includes activities such as hacking, cyberbullying, spreading malware, or using computers for illegal activities. So dito sa pag-misuse ng computer, no, pwede dito kasi na kunyari may mga phishing attacks, no? Ano ba yung mga phishing attacks yan? It involves yung kunyari sending deceptive emails or messages, no? Para matrick yung naka-receive ng email into revealing their sensitive information. 'Di ba? Kasi akala mo yung nag-send sa'yo si BDO. Sabi niya, kailangan daw ng palitan yung password mo para hindi ka makuha. Tapos yun pala, hacker na pala yun, no? Kasi pwede through phishing attacks, no? Magla-login ka ng credentials mo. So, pag login mo yan, nakukuha na lang yung password and yung mga details mo. Usually dito, no, yung mga cyber criminals kasi, they might impersonate yung mga legitimate organizations para mag-login yung mga clients ng organization na yan through clicking certain links, no, or sa pag-download nila. Kasi may tendency na may mga malware included dyan. So, through these phishing attacks, di ba, it may lead to identity theft, yung mga financial fraud natin, or unauthorized access to computer system. Okay, so yun yung mga ethical dilemmas regarding computer ethics, guys. Now, let's proceed to fraud and accountants. So, ano ba itong fraud natin? Fraud involves intentional deception for financial gain, and accountants play a vital role in detecting fraud and preventing it. Siyempre, no, dito sa fraud, may intentional act. Always remember, may intention. Okay, under this fraud, it may become employee fraud or management fraud. So, yung employee frauds natin refers to a deceptive or illegal activities committed by individuals within an organization for personal gain. This type of fraud can take various forms including embezzlement, theft of company assets, or manipulation of financial records. So, example natin, imagine nyo na lang, may scenario tayo na meron tayong trusted employee, no? Na nagtatrabaho siya sa accounting department ng isang company. So over time, yung trusted employee natin, na-notice niya yung loophole sa expense reimbursement process ng ating company. So kasi nakita niya na may loophole doon sa process, expense reimbursement process. So ang ginawa niya is nag-start na siya mag-submit ng mga fraudulent expense reports, no, for personal expenses. Kunyari, yung mga luxury dinners, vacations, and then i-approve niya yan without detection ng company. So dito, yung action ng ating trusted employee, di ba, it constitute yung employee fraud. Kasi yung trusted employee natin, he is misusing his position and the company resources for personal gain. So, yung fraudulent behavior na yan, it can result, syempre, sa financial losses for the company. And, syempre, yung pwede siyang makawala ng trust ng ating stakeholders sa ating company kapag malaman na may mga loopholes na ganyan and may mga employee fraud na palang nangyayari. So, how about yung mga employee fraud in computer environment? Siyempre, di ba, sa computerized environment, there's a tendency na yung ating employee, they might exploit yung mga technological system and processes, no, to commit fraud in our organization. So, syempre, this could involve yung mga unauthorized access to computer system, manipulation of digital records, or misuse of company resources for personal gain. For example, may employee tayo na nagwo-work sa IT department ng ating company. So may access yan siya sa mga sensitive financial data stored in our organization's database. So sa pag-use niya ng knowledge, gagamitin niya yung knowledge niya, no, ng system vulnerabilities within our organization. So yung employee natin na yan, i-alter niya yung mga transaction records, no, to divert funds into personal account. So, since may knowledgeable siya sa IT, so, pwede niya i-cover yung mga tracks niya by deleting the digital traces ng fraudulent transactions and i-exploit niya yung weak internal control. So, yung scenario na yan na nabanggit ko, dinedemonstrate niya kung paano yung employee natin in a computerized environment na kung paano niya i-exploit yung technology, no, to, to ano yan, no, para mag-commit ng fraud within our organization. So dito, para maiwasan yan, dapat i-emphasize natin yung importance of implementing ng stronger access control, ng stronger monitoring system, and syempre yung regular audits to detect and prevent fraud or prevent yung mga activities na yan. So, dapat mas strengthen natin yung internal control within organization to avoid fraud and error. Diba? Importante yan. Okay, how about management fraud? Management fraud, also known as executive or financial statement fraud, involves deliberate manipulation or misrepresentation of financial information by senior executives or management personnel to deceive stakeholders and conceal the true financial position of the organization. So, example dito, no, consider natin yung case na meron tayong CEO ng isang publicly traded company. Tapos, si CEO, in-instruct niya si accounting department to overstate the company's revenue and assets in financial reports. unable to meet the earnings targets, no? At para ma-boost niya yung stock prices. So, yung CEO natin and other top executives, they intentionally misrepresent the company's financial performance to attract investors and maintain shareholders' confidence. So, kung titingnan natin yung scenario na ito, parang yung scenario ni Enron and ni WorldCom, di ba? So, this type of management fraud, no? So, mayroon itong mga consequences, no? Including yung mga legal repercussions natin, damage to company's reputation, syempre, and at the same time, pwedeng may financial losses for investors natin, no? So, in some high-profile cases sa mga nabanggit ko kanina sa WorldCom and Enron, di ba yung management fraud, it will lead to corporate bankruptcies, no? And syempre, yung regulatory investigations na rin. So, kung titingnan natin, no, dito sa management fraud, guys, pwede rin ito siya sa in a computer environment, no? Sa computerized environment, yung management natin, they may engage in fraudulent activities to manipulate yung mga digital records natin or misrepresent yung financial information for personal gain or to deceive the stakeholders. So dito, since in a computer environment, pwede dito na yung kunyari si Chief Financial Officer or what we call CFO, Chief Finance Officer natin ng company, manipulate niya yung financial software to inflate yung revenue figures in quarterly reports, no? So, through using the sophisticated accounting software sa organization nila, i-fabricate niya yung sales transactions and revenues, no, to create false impression of the company's financial situation. So, i-exploit niya yung mga vulnerabilities in the company's accounting system and iba-bypass niya yung internal control, no? So, since Chief Finance Officer siya, meron siyang way to conceal the fraudulent activities from the auditors and investors. So, in this example, no, yung management natin, dinitake advantage niya yung technology to penetrate the to commit the financial statement fraud. Di ba? So, dapat dito is strengthen dapat natin sa ating organization yung cyber security measures natin. And then, yung audit in computer environment natin, di ba? So, there's a tendency dapat meron tayong mga expert na i-hire to audit our system or yung internal auditor natin dapat may knowledge siya kung how to detect yung fraudulent activity in a computer environment, no? Able to detect and deter such fraudulent practices in a computerized environment, no? So, yan yung ating employee fraud and management fraud. So, kung titingnan natin, no, both this employee fraud and management fraud, no, it underscores the importance, no, of implementing yung stronger internal control natin within our organization. Yung dapat mag-conduct ng regular audit, di ba? And also, i-foster natin yung culture of ethics and transparency within the organization, enable for us to prevent and detect the fraudulent activities within the organization, no, especially doon sa computer environment natin. Kasi usually in a computer environment, it is difficult, no, 'di ba? It is difficult to find this fraud, no, within the computer environment kung hindi ka expert. So dapat stronger internal controls tayo in a computer environment, no, to safeguard yung mga digital assets natin and able to prevent fraud. Okay? So yan yung fraud natin. It can be employee fraud or management fraud. Okay, next is we have internal control concepts and techniques. So, ano ba itong internal controls natin? Are process designed to safeguard assets, ensure accurate financial reporting, and promote compliance. So, under these internal controls, we have preventive control, no? Actually, tatlo yan guys, no? We have preventive controls, detective controls, and then we have corrective control. So, dito sa preventive controls natin guys, these are measures implemented to deter or minimize the occurrence of risks and vulnerabilities before they can materialize into problems. So these controls aim to stop issues from happening in the first place by implementing barriers, safeguards, or protocols. No example dito, in an organization, preventive controls for cybersecurity may include firewalls, security policies, and user authentication. First, ano ba itong firewalls natin? Installing a firewalls to monitor and control incoming and outgoing network traffic, preventing unauthorized access and malicious attacks from external sources. No? So dito sa firewalls natin, example natin, yung isang organization mag-implement siya ng network firewall appliance, no, at the perimeter of its network infrastructure. So yung firewall na yan is configured to inspect all incoming and outgoing traffic, no? I-block niya yung mga unauthorized access attempts and also i-filter niya yung mga malicious packets based on the predefined rules. So by deploying this firewall, syempre yung organization natin, it can create a barrier between its internal network and external threats, no, para ma-reduce yung risk of unauthorized access and cyber attacks within the organization. And then next is we have security policies. Establishing and enforcing policies and procedures for data handling, access control, and information security awareness, training to educate employees on security best practices, and reduce the likelihood of security breaches. So, yan yung security policies. Okay, wala na laktawan ko sa user authentication. Okay, ito muna tayo sa security policies, guys. Okay, yung example natin dito, kunwari sa isang organization, mag-establish siya ng mga comprehensive security policies, no, and procedures governing the handling of sensitive data, no, yung access control natin, and also yung information security practices. Yung mga policies na yan, it will outline the guidelines for data classification. And then yung encryption requirements, di ba? Access permission, and also yung acceptable use of company resources. No? At the same time, no, yung organization natin, magkakandak yan siya ng regular security awareness training sessions for employees and able to educate them about security best practices. Kunyari yung mga phishing awareness natin and also yung importance of safeguarding sensitive information. So by promoting a culture of security awareness within the organization and by promoting yung compliance with established policies, syempre, the organization can reduce the likelihood of security breaches, data leaks, and insider threats. How about yung user authentication? Implementing strong authentication methods such as passwords, biometric, or two-factor authentication to ensure that only authorized users can access sensitive system or data. So, yan yung ating internal control, no, na preventive control. So, by proactively implementing preventive controls, organization can reduce the risk of security incidents, frauds, or errors before they occur. Okay, how about detective control? So, detective controls are measures designed to identify and detect risk, vulnerabilities, or incidents after they have occurred. These controls focus on monitoring, surveillance, or analysis to uncover anomalies, deviations, or suspicious activities. No, example natin sa detective controls for fraud detection may include transaction monitoring, data analytics, audit trails. Okay, ano ba itong transaction monitoring natin? Implementing automated system or software to monitor financial transactions for unusual patterns, discrepancies, or red flags indicative of fraudulent activity. So, example natin dito sa transaction monitoring natin, no? Kunyari, may isa tayong financial institutions na mag-implement ng transaction monitoring software to detect suspicious activities in customer accounts. So, yung software na yan, i-analyze niya yung transaction data in real time, no? And then, if a-flag niya yung any unusual patterns or transactions that deviates from customers' normal behavior. For instance na lang, kung yung customer natin suddenly makes large withdrawals or transfer funds to unfamiliar accounts, yung system natin, mag-generate yan siya ng alert for further investigation, no? by fraud analysts. So, by continuously monitoring these transactions, the organization can identify and prevent fraudulent activities such as yung account takeover, unauthorized transfer, or money laundering transaction. So, yan yung transaction monitoring. How about data analytics? Using data analysis techniques to identify anomalies, trends, or irregularities in large data sets that may include or that may indicate rather the potential fraud or compliance violations. So dito sa ating data analytics, no, example natin dito, kunyari may retail company tayo that utilizes data analytics tools, no. This data analytics tools, it will analyze the sales data and identify potential instances, no, of fraudulent activity. So anong mangyayari dito? Syempre, by analyzing transactions records, by analyzing yung customer's behavior natin and yung inventory levels, yung company natin, it can detect anomalies or irregularities that may indicate fraudulent behavior. Kunyari, yung mga unusual na pagtaas ng sales at specific locations or mga discrepancies between sales and inventory data. So yung data analytics techniques natin, such as yung anomaly detection algorithms natin or predictive modeling, it can help organizations uncover patterns and trends indicative of fraud, no? So through that, 'di ba, may timely intervention and mitigation of potential losses yung ating company. So, yan naman yung data analytics natin. How about yung audit trails? Pero itong audit trails, I know you are familiar na with this, no? Audit trails, maintaining detailed audit trails or logs. So, audit trails, maintaining detailed audit trails or logs of system activities, user access, and changes to critical data to facilitate forensic investigation and reconstructions of events in case of suspected fraud or security breaches. So, example ng audit trail natin sa isang organization, magme-maintain yan siya ng comprehensive audit trails or log of user activities and system events to track changes to critical data and monitor syempre yung mga user access to sensitive information. So, in the event na may suspected security breach of fraud incident tayo within the organization, magkakaroon tayo ng forensic investigators na kung saan they can analyze the audit trail data. No? Ang gagawin nila dyan, i-reconstruct nila yung sequence of events, i-identify nila yung unauthorized activities, and i-determine nila yung scope of the incident. For example na lang, kung yung employee credentials natin are used to access confidential files outside the business hours, yung audit trail na yan can provide yung mga timestamps, no? Kung anong oras na gamit yung pag-access ng data, no? Data confidential files. So, makita yung oras na yan. And makikita yung access logs, no? To investigate yung unauthorized access and syempre through this audit trail, makakapag-take tayo ng appropriate corrective action. Okay? So, sana naintindihan yung detective control, no? So, by deploying detective controls, organizations can promptly identify and respond to incidents, minimizing the impact of fraud, error, or security breaches din. Okay, last slide na tayo, guys. No, last slide na ito, corrective control. So, ano itong corrective control? Are measures implemented to mitigate the impact of risk or incidents after they have been detected. So, this control focus on remediation, resolution, or recovery to address issues and restore normal operation. So, example ng corrective controls for cybersecurity incident may include incident response plan, patch management, and data recovery. Okay, so ano itong incident response plan? Establishing a structured incident response plan with predefined procedures, roles, and responsibilities to guide the organization's response to security breaches, data breaches, or cyber attacks. So, example natin dito sa incident response plan, no? Kapag yung organization natin, mag-establish yan siya ng incident response plan that outlines yung mga step-by-step procedures for responding to cybersecurity incidents. Kunyari, anong mga cybersecurity incidents? Kunyari, yung mga data breaches or mga malware infections natin. So, yung plan na yan, incident response plan na yan, no, it includes yung mga predefined roles and responsibilities for incident response team members, escalation procedures for notifying senior management and relevant stakeholders, and also yung mga protocols for coordinating with law enforcement or regulatory agencies. So in the event of a security breach, the incident response team will follow the plan to contain the incident, and also enable to mitigate the impact and restore yung mga normal operations as quickly as possible, no? And then second, we have the patch management, implementing process for timely patching and updating of software applications and system to address known vulnerabilities and minimize the risk of exploitations by malicious actors. So, example dito sa patch management, no? Kunyari yung isang company, mag-implement sila ng patch management process, no, to ensure yung timely updates and patches are applied to software applications. And para yung system natin, ma-address niya yung mga vulnerabilities and security weaknesses. So, usually yung tong patch management, it's about yung pag-update, no? Update sa system, no? Through this patch management, syempre yung organization natin, they will regularly monitor yung mga vendor advisories, mga security bulletins, no, to identify yung mga critical patches and updates, no. So dapat may automated patch deployment tools, no, yung organization para ma-deploy yung patches across the network, no, while minimizing disruption to business operations. Kasi syempre kapag hindi on time yung updates, baka hindi magagamit yung system, so magkakaproblema, no, sa operation ng business. So dapat promptly yung pag-apply ng patches, no, yung organization. So kasi kung hindi prompt yung pag-apply ng mga patches sa organization, syempre there's a chance, no, na may mga cyber attackers, so makakapasok sila sa system natin. So through promptly applying patches sa system natin, marireduce yung risk ng exploitation ng mga cybersecurity attackers, and also ma-strengthen natin yung mga defenses against sa mga threats. Okay, lastly, we have data recovery, implementing backup and recovery procedures to restore data and systems in the event of data loss, corruption, or ransomware attacks, ensuring business continuity and minimizing downtime. So dito sa data recovery, no, yung isang business dapat implement siya ng mga comprehensive backup and recovery procedures and able to safeguard yung mga critical data and system in the event of data loss, no, in the event na may corruption or in the event na may mga hacking activities, no, sa system. Kasi yung organization natin, dapat mag-regularly backup sila ng data to secure yung offsite locations or cloud-based storage platform ng isang organization. Kasi para ma-ensure, no, na hindi tayo magkakaroon ng data loss incident. Kasi there's a lot of work to do kapag magkakaroon tayo ng data losses, di ba? Kasi dapat regularly yung pag-backup sa system. Okay? So, dito sa corrective control, no, it helps organizations mitigate the impact of incident, restore operations, and prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. Okay? So, dito sa ating internal controls, no, sa ating internal control, always remember lang dito, si preventive control, no, ano ba ito? Sa preventive control, ito yung first line of defense in the control structure, no? And then dito naman sa detective control, ito yung second line of defense, no? And then si corrective controls, so yan na yung third line of defense natin, kasi yung actions taken, no, dito sa corrective control is taken to reverse the effects of errors detected in the previous step natin, no? Kunyari doon sa preventive control and then doon sa detective control. Okay? So, magkasunod yan sila. Siyempre, tawag dyan, sa preventive control pa lang na level, 'di ba, sasalain na yung problema. Kung hindi masala sa preventive control, doon na sa detective control mapunta. Kung hindi pa rin masala sa detective control, mapupunta na yan siya sa corrective control measures. Okay? So, naintindihan. So, yan na yung last slide natin.